just so big and powerful that they really can shape the world around them.
American alligators are only found in the southeastern United States. They can be found up to 13 or 14 feet even today. There's one published record of one that was possibly 19 feet. So they're a very large reptile. As far as people go, they, when they're laying there, they stand about a foot off the ground, and we stand about 5 feet off the ground. And so we're intimidating. If you just walk up to any normal wild alligator, they're going to try to get away from you.
The closest living relatives of alligators and crocodiles are birds.
They build a nest, they lay eggs, they care for young. They're very bird-like in a lot of respects. They make a noise called a bellow, which is very similar to a bird song. It doesn't sound like a bird song, but it gets to this whole chorus of other alligators respond to that.
There was really a period from the mid-1860s up until the 1970s, almost a century, where alligators were just killed in an unregulated fashion, and millions of alligators were killed. Until the mid to late 1960s. There's a law called the Lacey Act, actually originally enacted to protect egrets and herons in the Everglades. And they amended the Lacey Act to include some species of reptiles and amphibians, and the alligator was included in that. And so that was the first federal legislation protecting alligators.
Okay, well, so let's look at the big picture. So in the 70s, alligators were endangered, numbers are going down, it's a problem, right? It wasn't as simple as saying, okay, they're on the endangered species list, you people don't mess with them anymore. Because the moment we put them on the endangered species list, the price of skins was more valuable. That's great, the price just went up. I'm gonna get more alligators. If I don't get caught, I'm gonna make a living off of this, right? And so they were killing more alligators in the process. And what really saved alligators is when alligator farming came online. And we started producing alligator for hides, for skin and meat, and the price dropped because now it's available anywhere. You can go buy it from the farm, and why would I give you $300 for that thing when I can get it over here for $50? And so now poaching wasn't worth it anymore. It wasn't that, let's poach something else because alligators, the price of alligators has dropped. And so that's a big chunk of conservation, was captive breeding and marketing the animal, which sounds kind of the opposite of conservation, but marketing in such a way that the wild population is left alone.
Breaking news, a 2-year-old dragged into the water by a gator at Disney.
A Lakeland man is recovering after losing his arm to an alligator.
Florida man jumped into the water to save his puppy from the jaws of an alligator.
The public's perception of alligators in general is that they're dangerous animals and need to be avoided.
And a lot of times it's because of sensationalization of the animals and how they behave, or they hear about some kind of conflict event, and it makes it appear as though the alligator is a terrible beast hiding in Florida swamps. That's not the case. They are opportunists, and they're smart.
Because they're not killers, they're hungry predators, and that's a very different thing. There's still this overwhelming perception of if you go out in the wild and there's an alligator, it's going to attack you. And the cases of alligators attacking people are twofold. One is a case of mistaken identity, or the other more likely case is somebody's been feeding that alligator. They may not even be coming up to you to attack you, they may be coming up to see if you've got something to offer them, and they get braver and braver.
The alligator is not an aggressive species.
Even just in Florida, where we have perhaps 1.25 or 1.3 million alligators. We have 22 million residents in Florida, 100 million visitors a year. We have huge possibilities of human-alligator interactions.
We've got a big one.
That boils down to maybe a dozen unprovoked bites. But alligators are capable of being a nuisance.
So a nuisance alligator is one that is a threat to people, to property, or to their pets. So the SNAP program is the statewide nuisance alligator program. That's how we got the acronym SNAP. And so we developed this program so that if you are a person or a homeowner that feels threatened in any capacity by an alligator, call our nuisance hotline.
If we've lived in Florida most of our lives, we kind of look at a 7-foot alligator and say, he's fine. He's going to do his thing. He's not going to be a problem. But Fish and Wildlife has got to respond. Think it through, because that alligator is going to die if you can't accept and live with it in its environment.
Well, I always say that nuisance alligator control programs don't protect people, they protect alligators. Most of these alligators aren't bad alligators, they're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The smart thing to do in your mind is, well, just tape it up and move it somewhere else. Put it in a nice swamp with other alligators. The problem with that is we've started radio transmitting them and they come right back. It might be the next day, it might be a week. The further you go, the longer it takes, but if they were happy there and they had a food source there, they'll come back. And the people who move down here who don't really understand the process are horrified that somebody might be killing an alligator because they reported it.
By removing however many, 10,000 alligators a year, the other million-plus alligators are allowed to remain and the population to continue to grow slowly in the state.
A lot of times we end up not having to remove alligators or deem them nuisance once folks learn a little bit more about it.
Alligators are one of the great endangered species stories to tell, that we took them from that brink of extinction to a point where the wild population is fine, it's even, it's growing. They're populous and there's too many and they're crawling around in people's swimming pools.